of the reasons why we're still talking about Avatar the Last Airbender a decade later is that the show managed to seamlessly blend martial arts with elemental fighting. Today, I want to take you through what I think are the most epic battles of the series. What's up guys, I'm Kris Carr, and today I'm going to talk to you about my top 10 Avatar the Last Airbender fights. Before we see our benders duke it out, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsor of the day and my real life friend, John Carmack. Thanks to heroes like John, we get to keep revisiting amazing shows like Avatar and not get kicked out of our studio space. If you want to pitch in, head over to our Patreon page and see if a donation tier works for you. We'll thank you with shout out, swag, and behind the scenes looks. If you don't have any coins to spare, no problem. Liking, sharing, and subscribing are awesome ways to show your support. On to the battles! Number 10, Zuko versus Jet. I'm kicking things off with a fight sans bending. While living undercover in the Earth Kingdom, Zuko and Iroh caught the attention of paranoid rebel fighter Jet when Iroh used firebending to heat up his tea. Since Jet is super anti-firebender, he made it his mission to expose these two treacherous benders by any means necessary. Jet attacked them at the tea shop they worked at, hoping to revoke them into using firebending.
You want a show? I'll give you a show.
Sorry, Jet, but it's pretty typical for a crown prince, even an exiled one, to have gone through intense sword fighting and military training. Why include this fight? It's one of the few non-bending fights, and it proves how disciplined the hot-headed Zuko can be. Sure, Zuko could have ended this duel incredibly quickly if he had tossed out a fireball, but that would have completely blown he and Uncle's cover. Plus, I mean, come on, that fight choreography is stunning. This definitely can stand up to bending heavy fights we see in the series. Number 9, Katara versus Pakku. When Team Avatar finally makes it to the North Pole, they're obviously over the moon to meet waterbending master Pakku. Unfortunately, due to the patriarchal nature of the Northern Water Tribe, Pakku was only willing to teach Avatar Aang, not Katara. Waterbending healing is all women folk should learn after all. Well, the last waterbender of the Southern Water Tribe was not about to stand for that. Katara, who at this point was entirely self-taught, decided to challenge the waterbending master to prove she was just as good as any guy. Even though Pakku definitely was the winner here, Katara put up an incredibly strong fight and showed a lot of potential. How could Pakku not teach her? I love this fight because we see just how strong Katara has grown over the course of season 1, and again, simply from her own dedication to learn and master her elemental power. It also is the first time we as an audience see someone who has mastered waterbending's powerful skills.
Study closely.
Number 8, Aang versus Bumi. While Aang was snoozing in his frozen waterbed, his childhood pal Bumi kept on kicking it in a Mashu. Obviously, Aang didn't recognize his old buddy, so when he thought he would cleverly challenge what appeared to be a decrepit and loony old man, we were just as surprised as him when we saw the crazy muscles on Grandpa. The fact that Bumi is probably around 111 and is that jacked is bananas.
Well done, Avatar.
Look at the ease earthbending comes to Bumi. He's chunking boulders like it ain't no thing. He seamlessly falls to the ground to just burst back out and attack again. He's like a steroid-riddled prairie dog. Again, this is another first glance fight for us as the audience. We're seeing just how powerful earthbending can be once properly mastered. More importantly, we learn a lesson that will be repeated over and over in Avatar. Nothing is what it seems. Bumi may look like a helpless old man, but he's actually one of the most powerful earthbenders in history. Never underestimate your opponents. Number 7, the Blind Bandit WWE SmackDown! I haven't been shy about my love for her, so of course, I'm including a Toph motherfucking Beifong takedown on my list. When we first see Toph bending as the Blind Bandit, she takes down seven professional fighters. She takes down animated Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and makes them all look like a bunch of babies. The daredevil of Avatar, how could you see this girl work and not want her as your teacher? With or without some flying boar spirit vision. Everything about this fight is epic. And when you add on to it that this petite little lady is blind, it kicks everything up to 11. The fact that her blindness led her to learn from the OG benders, Badgermoles, proves that you can kick ass with enough determination and dedication. Number 6, Zuko versus Xiao. Goddamn Xiao. This guy was the worst and made everyone's life in Book 1 water a living hell. So happy he's trapped in the spirit world, what a twat waffle. Anyway, this fight, which is one of the first we catch in the series and the first Agni Kai we ever see, is a great display of deadly firebending. Zuko's a disgraced royal looking to restore his honor and win back the favor of his family and kingdom. To him, this means finding the Avatar. Xiao is a power-hungry monster looking to gain power and climb the ranks by any means necessary. Also looking for the Avatar. This was obviously a fight that was inevitable. At first, Xiao, being the older, more seasoned fighter, seems to have the jump on Zuko. However, thanks to the training Zuko has undergone with his uncle Iroh, he's able to implement a more strategic approach to his bending. It's an excellent display of his growth as a fighter, and how much he's trained since his last Agni Kai against his own father, Fire Lord Ozai. Number 5, Katara versus Hama. We of course have to include the bloodbending battle on here. This is where the series took an insanely dark turn. Hama was the first waterbender that Katara had come across in ages. The two quickly grew close, as Hama wanted to give all her waterbending tips and tricks to Katara. She teaches her a ton, like how their power is the strongest during a full moon. She even tells her of her time as a Fire Nation prisoner, but that's what led her to her greatest discovery of their power, bloodbending.
Once you perfect this technique, you can control anything or anyone.
It's pretty apparent that Katara isn't keen on this type of bending. She's downright horrified. When Hama realizes that Katara is not going to be the devoted pupil she needs, she attacks her.
Don't hurt your friends, Katara, and don't let them hurt each other.
No! When Hama goes after her friends, Katara is forced to implement bloodbending to stop Hama. Although Katara wins, she compromises her own morals in doing so. Katara will later have a very complicated relationship with bloodbending, knowing that she possesses the power to do so, but that she's not the type of person who can inflict that level of harm over another, taking away their free will. Number 4, Team Avatar versus Azula. While the show often poses Aang and Toph as polar opposites, I'd have to say there's no one more different from Aang in the series than Azula. While our bald buddy is a pacifist who's never met a stranger and is always seeing the good in people, Azula is a manipulative opportunist, always itching for conflict. Aang even went without sleep trying to avoid a showdown with Azula when she was hot on his trail. They finally come face to face in an abandoned town. Azula squares off against Team Avatar. Katara!
I thought you guys could use a little help.
Seriously, it took everyone's combined efforts to get out of there. This fight proved that Azula was a force to be reckoned with, and that Aang was going to have to step up his training and be willing to inflict some real damage on someone. Number 3, the Siege of Ba Sing Se. Take 2. This old guy fight is so freaking cool. It's like they got 5 super soldiers, it's amazing. The Order of the White Lotus came to wreck shit. We've seen these exceptional fighters throughout the series. Some benders, some not, but who excel at hand-to-hand combat. So when they came together as a team, it was like the Avatar equivalent of Avengers. Assemble! These 5 masters managed to take the entire city back from Fire Nation control. This is also the moment that we get to see Iroh give maximum effort in a fight and go all out. Number 2, Aang versus Ozai. Some of you are gonna fight me on this being number 2, and I get it, but just let me make my argument, okay? Obviously, this fight is what we were working towards the entire series. Our Avatar had finally mastered the elements, he was getting the hang of the Avatar state, he had a solid crew, but he was still having an incredibly hard time dealing with the possibility of taking Ozai's life. Which is fair. He's a teenage monk. Murder doesn't sound awesome. Aang tries to be more defensive than offensive when he first squares off against the newly self-crowned Phoenix King Ozai. With the power of Sozin's comet coursing through him, Ozai could follow Aang into the air, rocketeering himself around effortlessly. When it looked like Aang wasn't gonna win this one, he slips into the Avatar state and pulls through. Aang completely overpowers Ozai and decides to finish this battle on his own terms, by permanently taking away Ozai's ability to bend.
I'm not gonna end it like this.
Even with all the power in the world, you are still weak.
I love that Aang wins this on his own terms and doesn't have to compromise his values. And finally, number 1, Zuko and Katara versus Azula.
Just you and me, brother. The showdown that was always meant to be. Agni Kai!
You're on.
Now I think this fight is number 1 because of Zuko's redemption arc. This, to me, had an even bigger emotional payoff than Aang taking down Ozai. We've made it pretty clear that Zuko and Azula are insanely powerful, and they have a lot of unresolved issues and resentment towards one another. So this final Agni Kai is something we've been dying to see. This is to determine who's the rightful Fire Lord, so the stakes are crazy high. We've seen Azula unraveling and cracking, yet she still manages to get the upper hand in this fight. Why? Well, because she's completely unhinged. Of course she redirects an attack at Katara. She knows that Zuzu will jump in the way. That's another point of why this fight is so important. Season 1 Zuko would not have taken that attack in Katara's place. He now will do anything for his friends. Azula sees that as a weakness.
I'd really rather our family physician look after little Zuzu if you don't mind.
Katara goes on to take down Azula using her arrogance against her, ultimately taking her down and trapping her. Azula's complete breakdown, Zuko's sacrifice, Katara's ingenuity, and Zuko and Katara's friendship make this the fight that I want to watch over and over again. But, of course, some of you aren't going to agree, so I want to hear your opinions. Which are your favorite Avatar the Last Airbender fights? And what else do you want to know about the world of Avatar? Let me know in the comments below. For more videos, click to the left of my face, or you can watch us on Roku or Plex. Thank you again to all our donors on Patreon, especially you, John, and thank you for watching. See you, Space Cowboy.